Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Daisy Kent opens up about dealing with mental health issues. Daisy Kent has opened up about dealing with mental health issues. This is something that a lot of people do not like to talk about. However, Daisy is always wanting to help other people get through their problems. She had a lot of advice on the issue. Keep reading to find out more about what she had to say. Daisy Kent took a risk and joined The Bachelor. Joey Graziadei was the man there to find love. However, he and Daisy really hit it off. He enjoyed listening to her story about how she got sick and ended up with a cochlear implant. This is something fans loved about her. She was open and honest about what she had gone through. Daisy also tried to bring as much awareness to the issue as possible. Joey and Daisy were a great match, and she even made it to the final two. However, Kelsey Anderson is the one who ended up getting a ring from Joey Graziadei. Daisy Kent hosted a Q&A on her Instagram story. During this questionnaire, Daisy opened up about mental health issues. She gave fans advice for getting through stress and anxiety. She talked about being busy constantly, but reminded fans that she was stuck in a bed for months, so she is now just grateful. When fans asked how she pushes through a tough day, she responded, "Creativity always helps me. It fuels me. If I'm feeling down or like I'm not doing enough, I try to create something. Whether that's a TikTok or writing, it really helps me get out of a funk. Also remembering to be kind to myself. No one has it all together, and everyone has days they don't feel the best or even seasons that are like, what is happening? Sometimes you just have to take it one day at a time and know tomorrow will be better. Do something you're passionate about or write/doodle your thoughts. I also love to do this." It seems that Daisy struggles with stress and anxiety just like almost every other person in the world. Fans appreciate that she can open up and talk about the issues. Sometimes it may be uncomfortable for someone to use their platform to bring awareness to mental health. However, Daisy did it gracefully. What do you think about what she had to say? Do you agree with the advice she had to give people? Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts. For Daisy Kent, life had always been a whirlwind. From her early days as a rising star in the music industry to her eventual climb into global stardom, she seemed to have it all. The glitz, the glamour, the adoration of millions. On the surface, she was living a dream. But beneath the shiny veneer, a darker story was unfolding. One that few outside her inner circle had any knowledge of. Daisy was grappling with mental health issues that threatened to unravel her world. Sitting in her cozy home studio, surrounded by walls lined with guitars and shelves of vinyl records, Daisy finally felt ready to share her truth. It had taken years to muster the courage to open up, and today she was doing it not only for herself, but for those who, like her, had quietly suffered in the shadows. "It was something I hid for a long time," Daisy began, her voice calm but tinged with emotion. "I was afraid of what people would think. Afraid they'd see me as weak or broken. But I'm realizing now that mental health doesn't make you weak. It's something that makes you human." Her mental health struggles had begun long before she ever became a household name. Growing up, Daisy had always been a sensitive soul. She felt emotions deeply, carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, and often found herself overwhelmed by the intensity of her feelings. But it wasn't until her late teens, as she entered the music industry, that things began to spiral. The pressure to be perfect, to always be on, it was suffocating, Daisy explained. "There's this idea that if you're in the spotlight, you have to be flawless, physically, emotionally, everything. And I tried to keep up with that for a while. I really did. But it was exhausting. By the time her debut album hit #1 on the charts, Daisy was already struggling with anxiety. She recalled the nights spent lying awake, her mind racing with fears and doubts, unable to quiet the constant hum of worry. She'd often experience panic attacks before major performances, her heart pounding in her chest as her breath grew shallow, and she'd have to find a quiet corner backstage to pull herself together. "I felt like I was drowning," she admitted, pausing to collect herself. "And I didn't know how to ask for help. I thought I should be grateful for everything I have. I don't have the right to feel this way." But that's not how mental health works. The anxiety eventually gave way to depression. Daisy described a period in her life when she felt numb, disconnected from the world around her. The joy she once found in music had evaporated, replaced by a sense of emptiness she couldn't shake. Even on her most successful days, she struggled to find a reason to get out of bed in the morning. "I felt like I was walking through life in a fog," she said, her eyes distant as she recalled those dark days. "Nothing made sense anymore. I'd be at award shows, surrounded by people telling me how incredible I was. And all I could think was, why can't I feel any of this?" Daisy's turning point came after a particularly intense tour, during which she had reached her breaking point. She remembered collapsing in her hotel room after a sold-out show, the weight of everything crashing down on her. That night, she knew she couldn't keep living the way she had been. "I called my mom," Daisy said, her voice breaking slightly. "I told her I couldn't do it anymore, that I needed help. It was the hardest phone call I've ever made, but it saved my life." That phone call marked the beginning of Daisy's journey to recovery. She sought therapy and was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and clinical depression. Though the diagnosis was a relief in many ways, finally giving her a name for what she had been feeling, it was also just the start of a long, difficult road toward healing. "It wasn't like everything got better overnight," she said. "There were days when I didn't want to go to therapy, days when I felt like I was going backward instead of forward. But I kept going because I knew that this was the only way out." Daisy also turned to music as a form of therapy. Writing songs became an outlet for her emotions, a way to process her pain and confusion. Her latest album, which fans have hailed as her most personal and raw work to date, delves into her experiences with mental health. Tracks like "Silent Scream" and "Beneath the Surface" speak to the internal battles she's fought and the strength it takes to keep going. "When I wrote those songs, I wasn't thinking about whether they'd be hits or how people would react to them," Daisy explained. "I wrote them because I needed to. Music has always been my way of making sense of things, and I needed to make sense of what was happening to me." Since opening up about her mental health, Daisy has been overwhelmed by the support she's received from fans and fellow artists alike. She's become an advocate for mental health awareness, using her platform to encourage others to seek help and to destigmatize the conversation around mental illness. "There's still so much shame and misunderstanding around mental health," she said, her passion evident. "But I think the more we talk about it, the more we can change that. No one should have to suffer in silence." Daisy still has her bad days, but she's learned to manage them. She practices mindfulness, takes time for herself when she needs it, and surrounds herself with a supportive team that understands her limits. Most importantly, she's learned to be kind to herself. "I'm not perfect, and I don't have to be," Daisy said, smiling softly. "I'm just trying to take it one day at a time, and that's enough." As she wrapped up her story, Daisy left a message for anyone who might be struggling with their mental health. You're not alone. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. There's so much strength in vulnerability, and I hope sharing my story helps even one person feel a little less alone. For Daisy Kent, the journey hasn't been easy, but by embracing her truth and seeking help, She's found a new sense of purpose and a new reason to sing.